The views expressed on this show, interview, or program are not necessarily the views expressed by the ZNS Radio Network and by extension, the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. What's the secret of change? We don't fight the old. Instead, we focus on building the new. Welcome to the Table of Change. Come on in and have a seat at our table.
It's another Tuesday night, January 14th. Listen, at the table tonight, we have lots to eat, so listen up, keep your plates clean, and let's eat. Bahamas, whose show is this? This is not Tamara and Jackie's show. This is the show of the Bahamian people. Let's get this show on the go. Tamara, take it over.
Oh my goodness, Jackie, you're going to make me a believer, man. I believe. Amen. A shamana. But tonight we have some dynamic men inside the building tonight. And I must say they're so easy on the eyes that tonight is going to be a very easy show. Tonight we have from Water and Sewage, the one, the only, Mr. Robert Deal, General Manager. Mr. Deal started off as a summer student, and over the past 30 years, he worked his way up. Summer student, graduate engineer to general manager. And I here to tell you, Mr. Deal had so much knowledge, and he's given me so much information on water and sewage. I think I'm going to be a water specialist after this. And then to take it a step further, to make it a little easier on the eyes, Mr. Miller, we got Mr. Montgomery Miller. And we thank Mr. Miller for letting you out tonight. He's the senior manager of strategic coordination department. He's leading the digital meter program. He started off at Water and Sewage as a summer student, a junior accountant, and now he holds that title of senior manager strategic. You know, one of the interesting things about being here at Table of Change, we don't just get to know what they've done, where they've worked, and what educational background they have. We try and get an idea of the person. And I learned a lot about Mr. Miller when he said to me, his quote. He quoted to me from Martin Luther King, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Amen. I just got to repeat that because, you know, it says a lot about an individual when you understand where they're coming from and what level playing field that they're on. So I'm going to repeat that. His quote is Martin Luther King, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere." So tonight, here at the table of change, Mr. Robert Deal, Mr. Montgomery Miller. Please welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening. It's a pleasure. Now, you're here tonight. Now, Mr. Montgomery, break it down, because I know you're excited. I can see from the smile on your face that you are excited about this new project at hand and what you're doing. So tell us at Table of Change, what are you bringing to the table tonight?
Oh, well, good evening. Well, Ms. Moxie, Jacqueline, and Tamara, we are very pleased to be here this evening with you. We are loving the excitement and the energy that you're bringing. We hope that we can bottle a little bit of this and take this back to the corporation when we leave.
Definitely.
So we really appreciate it. We received the invitation well. The project that the corporation is mentioning or discussing tonight among a host of other projects that we're going on, but we are specifically touching on our digital metering rollout program, or in other terms, we refer to it as a smart meter program. And what that really speaks to is the fact that the corporation is now embracing, or continues to embrace in different ways, technology that's available in the marketplace. Oftentimes when I have this discussion with our staff, when we have meetings, I use a simple illustration. The corporation is transitioning from the bubbler to the smartphone, right? And so that would be exactly the same when we talk about our metering device, that we're moving from an analog or manual mechanical type of technology to now a digital computerized technology that offers tremendous benefits to the customers and, of course, to the corporation as well.
Now, when I hear that, Montgomery, that kind of scares me. If I'm sitting on my porch in Mason's Edition right now, and I hear I'm moving from the bubbler to the smartphone, that makes me scared. What is my bill going to be moving to?
Oh, no. Well, there's no implication. This process that we're going through, actually, this will serve to benefit you as a customer. The corporation currently, as you may well know, hopefully you both are customers of the corporation. And if you're not, we will work very hard to get that to change quickly. But one of the things that we're seeking to do, we have, over time, discovered that one of the major challenges that our customers face is undetected leaks. Leaking toilets. Sometimes you may have the garden in the yard that accidentally chops your pipe, and you don't recognize that that's going on. And so what happens is customers don't even know that this has taken place until they receive the bill. And currently, we bill residential customers after 3 months. And so that's one of the greatest chilling experiences that we have in our customer service areas when people get that huge bill and they scream. And so one of the things that the smart metering device does is it is a device that's detecting continuous flow of water. And so one of the big advantages that we look forward to implementing and introducing to the public is almost instant notification that if there's something that's going on, you're not waiting for an extended period of time to know that there's something that you need to call your plumber and come and get corrected.
It's amazing that you said that, because getting feedback on tonight, I've been hearing a lot of different customer service issues around leaks and feeling that the corporation is supposed to call the customer. So I'm happy to hear that you're actually taking that on to notify the customer of such leaks. So I think that is very essential for tonight, and that's a good thing. I think everyone needed to hear that tonight, that now you've worked on the system and you're going to be having the system in place. When is it going to be in place?
So there's an excellent question. So we're taking, like most things in life, we are obliged to take incremental steps. If you have a context of how things are at the corporation, we have some challenges. But what we are doing is, in the first instance, we are going through this process of changing out. WSC has about 65,000 residential customers. So they are the ones that are currently serviced by these analog legacy meters. And so over the course of the next 18 to 24 months, thanks to, well, in the first instance, we've already started the process. Through the funds that we had available, we started. So we've already installed about 2,000 of these meters in New Providence and throughout the Family Islands. So all of the new customer connections that customers are now receiving water, they are now currently using the smart meters. And we wanted to kind of draw the public's attention. GM Deal had made this point in a previous discussion, that when customers see something that's changed, people tend to be a little curious as to what's going on. And so we just wanted to help to arrest any concerns that the public would have, that they would know that this is a deliberate change that's taking place with respect to changing from this traditional blue meter that you used to have to now this grayish-white boxy device that is replacing it. And so we're underway in that regard to start the process. But overall, within about the next 24 months, through the financing of the Inter-American Development Bank, which we will finalize in the next few coming weeks, we're going to start the mass project of changing out all of the meters throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
What do you see may be an obstacle? I'm thinking the older the home is, what would be like an obstacle in getting, there's a meter in the homes right now?
Well, I mean, one of the challenges that we have faced over time is that persons that have meters installed, unfortunately, sometimes you have persons that place that meter right in their garbage enclosure. They put, sometimes people park a vehicle over it. They dump things on it, or as the property builds up, dirt and other things get around that meter, so it becomes very difficult to access. So one of the things that we will have to do, and we have already been doing, is accessing those meters, putting them in a position where they're accessible, and also reinstalling the protective meter box around it so it can be secured and well protected. And that's particularly important with the new meters, which are substantially more costly than the original ones, and so we want to make sure they're well protected so that they can last for the full duration of their lifetime.
I'm glad you said costly, because I'm sitting here thinking, and I know someone else is thinking, what is this going to cost me?
Well, it's not going to cost you, the consumer, anything. So this is an initiative that's undertaken by the corporation itself to modernize and to advance our level of service. And so there is no cost to the consumer. The only time that there potentially is a cost is if the customer is not careful and they allow the meter to be damaged. And so in that instance, then, of course, there would be the normal replacement cost. But as all things being equal, we will be going around and making these changes to the benefit of the customer and at the cost of the corporation, and by extension, of course, the government of the Bahamas.
Okay. Now, I got to let Mr. Deal jump in here. Mr. Deal said something to me, and he know I like a soppy story. I don't know who told him I like a soppy story, but he had my teardrops dropping, and my mouth was quivering when he told this story to me. Please tell me your water story. Please share that with us.
Well, Tamara and Jackie, and of course our listening audience, a very pleasant good evening. As I was telling you at the beginning, Tamara, I guess one of the things that drives me at the corporation, has always driven me, is to see the excitement of our customers, particularly when we deliver new service to them, and particularly across our family islands. We have so many communities who, over the last several decades, who have received pipe water for the first time, and you never get used to it, that when you go in the community and they're receiving pipe water for the first time, how overjoyed they are and happy with it. And it reminds us of why we work. We don't just work to, focus on tank levels or lay water mains, but we really work to provide a service to our customers, to our fellow Bahamians. And so no matter where they are in the Bahamas, it is our mission to ensure that they're receiving high quality, consistent pipe water supply.
I must say, I like how this endeavor, what I'm hearing, and I hope I'm hearing correctly, it's basically to improve customer service. That the only advantage to water and sewage right now is to make sure our customers are being billed properly, right? And in terms of having the meter, and when you hear stories about water and sewage, you hear about a leak, you hear about this big bill, you hear about a person that can't pay the bill. I've been carrying on for years. So I'm ecstatic the fact that you've taken on an initiative like this in terms of getting the meter and how it's directly geared for customer satisfaction.
Well, the goal is to improve our customer experience, the time they have with us. As Mr. Miller mentioned, we're trying to get several things done. One, primary output of this program will be, we plan on, in short order, moving to monthly billing. Presently, we bill our customers on a quarterly basis, and what we have found is our customers struggle with the management of that. If I ask you if you have paid your December BPL light bill, you probably know if you have or haven't. But if I ask you if you paid your last quarter water and sewage bill, you're not sure when was the last quarter bill due. Did you receive it? Did you not receive it? Did you pay it? Mm-hmm. And so we want to improve that process to help customers better manage their billing process. Also as Monty mentioned too, a key output of this program will also be to alert our customers that they have a leak, internal leak. That's going to benefit the corporation, but also benefit the customers, because what we have now is our customers are billed on a quarterly basis. So many customers, they have a running toilet, perhaps in their kids' room. Sometimes the gardener comes, as he mentioned, and cleans the yard. They nick the pipe. That's running forever. And so after 3 months is running, you get the bill, you let it go for another month. And so finally, when you open up the bill, you look at it, you realize you have a high bill. And then, you have to come in with us and try to work out how you're going to address this high bill because of the leak that was running on your side of the meter. We believe that this process, which is going to allow us to hopefully within 24 hours, as we get to the stage we want to get to be able to alert the customer that, look here, yesterday you had continuous flow in your house, and what that means is that you have a leak. You need to check it out instantaneously. So if you can get a service that could tell you on Monday you had continuous flow in your house, meaning that even when you were sleeping, water was flowing, by Tuesday, if you start checking into it, you arrange for the plumber. If the plumber can't come tonight, hopefully he can come sometime tomorrow, find the leak for you. Within a day or two, if you can shut that leak down, you would have saved yourself a tremendous amount of money. And so, like I said, that's an output for the customer. Another key issue, too, is security. As we know, more and more of our homes are behind gates, behind walls. Not everyone wants someone to be coming into the yards to read a meter or whatever. So this is going to allow our staff in the first instance to just essentially drive by with a machine in the car, and the machine in the car is going to read the meter. So it's going to be a instant process, and eventually we're going to have a fixed network around New Providence, some of our major islands, where an antenna system will pull between the meter, and the readings will be transferred electronically. And so it's going to be tremendous benefits to our customers all around.
If you have any questions for water and sewage, Mr. Deal, Mr. Mortimer, you're going to call the toll-free number, 300-8255, 325-5403-5, if you have any questions. We do have a question coming from Zoom. How accurate is the digital meter versus the analog?
Very. The smart meter is, extremely accurate, and so it's going to be able to pick up low flows, etc. So we believe we won't have a challenge with respect to meter reading. Also, historically with the old analog meters, the customers always complain that they believe that during periods of water outages or other issues, that air that may be passing through the line is being read. These meters will not read air, any air in the line or whatever. So that's going to be a benefit to the customers as well.
You talked earlier, you were talking to me about tamper and alarm with the meter. What exactly are we talking about with that?
The meter will be able to alert us when we do the reading, either by drive-by or by fixed network, if someone was attempting to tamper with the meter in any form or fashion. So, sometimes we have, rare, but we do have some people from time to time who move a meter from one location to the next. They do something. The meter will pick that up and report that to us. There are some crafty Bahamians who try to find a way around the system. A few.
I don't know them, Mr. Deal.
No, I don't know them either.
Because you tried to put me on the spot
No,
about paying that bill for December. I'm like, who's paid the bill in December? You got to wait till February now. Come on now.
Yes.
December is 1 month for Santa.
Yes.
January's recovery. So I can't see you until February.
Yeah.
But my question in terms of, I love the idea that it is to help the Bahamian people. What did you hear in terms of the cry to make you say, this is why we need this meter?
Well, I'll take that question to follow up on some of the points that GM Deal made. Clearly, one of them is that we know we all of us are Bahamians living in this country, right? Typically, all of us get paid. Some people maybe get paid weekly, but for the most part, persons get paid on a monthly basis. And we manage our finances accordingly. Even in some cases where bills may extend beyond that period, I noted a lot of people, school fees and so on, that may go in terms. There's a lot of arrangement that's taking place now to make sure that that's broken down on a monthly basis. So you're basically following a basic accounting principle, which is matching your revenues with your expenditure. So in a sense, it is a bit of a disservice to our customers to have this irregular bill. We've had so many cases. I spent some of my time in customer service, and so most people are very, very frustrated when they, at the end of an evening, that they get home after, they get off 6, 7 o'clock in the evening sometimes, and they discover that their water has been turned off. And so one of the ways to address that, as GM Deal has pointed out, is to make sure that even in our own minds, there's that clock of, as I am tabulating my bills, I know that it's the light, the water, the telephone, and so on. It becomes a part of the regular routine. Right now, we're not in that cycle. And so that's one of the things that we're seeking to arrest by just normalizing that. And we've mentioned the leakage as well. That's been a big issue. And there's an issue that's tied to water leaks that is of great concern to us, and that is that historically, over a period of time, persons who have experienced very, very high bills have unfortunately taken the turn to go towards private wells, where it is possible and they can get what they think is safe water. And GM Deal specifically used the word potable water, which is a term that you will find in the Water and Sewage Act that speaks to potable simply means consumable, drinkable, right? And so the corporation has quite a bit of infrastructure behind it. We have a full functional lab that is testing the water on a daily basis to check to make sure that water is safe, it's adequately disinfected, chlorinated, and so on. What we have now is a significant number of people, particularly in New Providence, that are utilizing private wells. And year before last, we commissioned a study. We saw it, we were able to successfully get 400 persons who were WSE customers that had transitioned to wells. And we tested the water free of charge for them. And of course, the finding was that those private wells are by and large contaminated. Right? Because the primary method of sewage collection on New Providence would be the septic tank. And that's another part of the Water and Sewerage Corporation, so that's another thing that we could speak of. But we do have the concern that there are consumers out there that may be well exposing themselves to whether it's biological contamination or chemical contamination. And if we have paid attention to the news over the course of years, we know that there's some instances where there are other things leaking into the groundwater that people may be bringing into their homes unwittingly and exposing themselves to. And so the whole mandate of the corporation is to provide safe, potable water to all of our consumers, and we stand behind that. And so one of the ways to arrest the concern is that if we are metering you in a way that you know that you're getting billed in a regular small time frame, you don't have to worry about there being some massive leak that runs you away from the corporation. So we're looking even to win back customers and to get them to be in a safer position than they currently are.
So what I heard just now is WSC water is safe, secure to drink over your well water.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I like how you say definitely. Break that down for the people in the back row.
Well, as I tell people don't always like to hear this, but the reality is most of us live in a, certain size lot here in New Providence, 60 by 100, 100 by 100. Mm-hmm. When you have, and sometimes people say, well, my septic tank is in the front of the house, and so I get the well in the back, or vice versa, the septic tank in the back and the well in the front. Mm-hmm. And they believe that 40 feet, 50 feet separation is enough. But the reality is, when you turn on that little half horsepower pump in your yard, that starts pulling water from quite a distance away. Mm-hmm. So, you don't just pull water from within 5 feet or 10 feet of the well. You're pulling water sometimes from 100, 200, 300 feet away. And so you're pulling, as Mr. Miller mentioned, you could be pulling the sewage that's leaking over from your neighbor's septic tank. All of that you could be pulling towards your home. And some people, they'll tell you, well, they drop half of a chlorine tablet in the well, or they drop a quarter. But that doesn't really work, because at one point, when you drop the half tablet or whatever, then your well is overly chlorinated, and eventually that tablet dissolves. And if you forget or whatever, or you're just not home or whatever, you pull in that contaminated stuff into your well. And it's not only the septic tank waste, as he mentioned, but also your neighbor or somebody in the area could be fixing cars, and so they got the old car battery acid that's being dissolved into the ground. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just garbage, restaurants, waste, whatever's happening. So we highly discourage customers from using private wells, and particularly if you have children at home, elderly persons who are sick, etc., anybody who have any immune deficiencies, etc. Mm-hmm. I would recommend that you stay far away from any private wells.
This is one of the questions that came in via Zoom. Is the water quality the same in all areas?
The groundwater quality? Mm-hmm. There are some differences, but generally, particularly here in New Providence, we live in a generally densely populated area, and so by and large, most of us have neighbors on both sides of us. Sometimes we have neighbors behind us, and so the groundwater quality, and as Mr. Miller mentioned, of the 400 wells we tested, they were all over New Providence. Yeah. So they were not in one confined area. They were north, south, east, west, central, but they were all along paved roads where we have existing infrastructure. Because sometimes when Bahamians hear about contaminated water supply, they think that we're talking about somebody who lives in a shanty town in the bush somewhere. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about people who live along paved roads where there's existing water infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, that person elected not to be connected to water and sewage, and they're using a private supply, and that private supply is endangering them. In fact, we've had cases at the corporation where we've had to work closely with the Ministry of Health, where persons would present babies and other people at the hospital, mm-hmm. and they would realize that the child has become ill because of consuming contaminated groundwater. And so in some cases, the Ministry of Health will have to work forcefully to ensure that that private well is condemned, closed, and that person is reconnected quickly to the government water supply system.
Now, we know economically things are getting a little tight, with everyone finances and home-wise. But I feel like when we got the word out in terms of water and sewage being here tonight, you hear horror stories about people being disconnected for years due to the fact of how high the bill was. And are we seeing a lot of disconnection in the last few years? Or
and as Mr. Miller mentioned, that's one of the primary reasons why we want to move towards the digital meters, the smart meters, and then also move towards monthly billing and move towards a system that will allow us to promptly inform customers that they have a leak and they need to repair the leak, because that's a historical challenge that we've had with high bills and trying to resolve those for our customers, and then them coming off the system. But as I always tell anyone, The last thing Water and Sewage wants to do is disconnect any customer. Disconnection is an absolute last resort for us.
Last resort.
Last resort. Yeah.
So wait, now I gotta, sometimes I gotta tempt fate a little bit.
Yeah.
And I believe that. I believe
Because
that water and sewage does work with the client.
It's costly for us to drive halfway across Nassau to disconnect you, and then for you to come back that evening and pay, and then we got to drive again halfway across Nassau to reconnect you. We rather send you a message, some sort of email, text message, and encourage you to go online, pay, etc. Because disconnection, and we don't want to irritate our customers because our primary purpose of being at Water and Sewage is to provide water and sanitation services to our customers.
Absolutely.
So we're not in the disconnection business. We're in the water supply business.
I believe you because when is the last time the water has increased? When is the last time the cost has increased? Because I've been looking back and I felt that I gotta ask, is it profitable? Because I haven't seen where it has. I'm not saying for you to increase it now.
Well,
I'm not saying that. I'm just asking.
And I think the government has even spoken to that recently, but our tariffs were last adjusted in 1999. So the reality is, as you hear at any government budget presentation, etc., the Water and Sewage Corporation is heavily subsidized by the central government.
Okay. Because the bigger issue is in terms of, like you said, contamination, dealing with wells, and you want to provide water, not so much make a profit. I don't want to put words in your mouth because everything is but I'm hearing more in terms of that is...
Water supply is part of the country's national security. You can't have a nation and a safe nation, a prosperous nation, and a developing country without safe, potable water supply. Our residents need it. Our visitors need it. It's an absolute necessity. Yeah. As people always tell you, we think the cell phone is important, and we think even the light is important. And yes, they have a role to play. But boy, let that water be off for a day, two, and you realize all of us need water to survive. It's an absolute necessity.
Yeah. And if I may jump in on that as well, I would say, if you think about it, COVID is not that far away from our memories,
exactly.
Right? And if we recall, one of the key protocols that we faced when it came to COVID was this whole idea of washing your hands. Mm-hmm. That was critical. Hygiene was essential. Mm-hmm. And so we know that the provision of clean, safe water is absolute, as GM Deal says. In fact, even through the hurricane situations, we found it very interesting because WSC was very highly rated through hurricane situations where some other utilities may have been challenged. But I coined this phrase some time ago that, even if you don't have power with water and sewage, you could still take a shower. And that is that is very, very critical because people may do a lot of things. You may leave your home and put on the wrinkle-free shirt, but you certainly want to take a shower to be fresh to get outside and to do certain things. Yeah. And so we are providing, and I like to say that WSC is providing the most essential of the essential services. There's no question that there are multiple essential services, but I do believe that we are the most essential of the essential services.
I have to agree. Here at Table of Change, you're listening to Robert Deal, General Manager, Montgomery Miller, Senior Manager of Strategic Coordination. I need you to call in, guys, 325-5403-5 or toll free 300-8255. You have the questions. You've been texting me. You've been WhatsApping me. You have the opportunity. Speak, Bahamas. Let me hear you. Table of Change. We're here to do what? Bring the issue to the table. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to beat the horse to death, but we're going to try and find a solution. So call in. Let's hear it. Let your voice be heard. Table of Change. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to take a break and back with Robert Deal and Montgomery Miller.
RBC is a bit for all of you. Life is full of twists, turns, and defining moments that create your own unique story. However your story unfolds, we're here to help guide you through it. From every big decision to every new adventure, RBC is a bit for all of you. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
It's time for Radio Bahamas to send you to the farm. Saturday, February 1st for KB and Friends. When you hear this,
I'm a boatman, a seaman. Ha! My work is on the water.
be caller number 15 on the line and simply say Radio Bahamas send me to the farm to see KB and friends.
I don't want your wife, but let me tell you something. It's my conch that she like.
So listen up for this.
I'm a boatman, a seaman. Ha! My work is on the water.
Right now, be caller number 15 by dialing 325-5403 in Nassau or 242-300-8255 from the family of islands and simply say, Radio Bahamas, send me to the farm to see KB and friends.
Hey, wait, it's great. Going down the road. Gonna tell somebody right down the road.
Tune in for your chance to win. We're 1540 AM, 104.5 FM, the national voice of the Bahamas.
That's it. My ship is coming in. I can feel the shifting winds. My ship is coming in.
Hi, I'm Ed Dorset, host of the radio program Jesus, the Light of the World, inviting you to join us every Sunday right here on ZNS 1540 and 104.5 for a special time of Christian ministry in lively singing, powerful preaching, and an update from our chapel with Sister Anna Maria Moss. We are located on East Street and McCullough Corner, and our motto is the church where Jesus Christ is Lord and everyone is special. You can't afford to miss it.
Jesus, the Light of the World, Sundays, 8 p.m. on Radio Bahamas, 1540 AM, 104.5 FM. We invite you to tune in.
Minimize the cost of your ads and maximize your advertising impact. From January 1st to April 30th, 2025 only, you can double or triple your ZNS ad experience. Get a ZNS multimedia package that includes radio, television, and TV community page ads starting at just $399 per month. Book your package now. Call your ZNS account executive or the ZNS sales office at 502-3800 today and double or triple your advertising experience. The views expressed on this show, interview, or program are not necessarily the views expressed by the ZNS Radio Network and by extension, the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
We're back. It's Table of Change. Let's finish the meal. We're finishing it off. The numbers to call is 325-5403-5. Family Islands, you know you got a place in my heart. Please call us 300-8255. Listen, Mr. Deal, Mr. Montgomery, what if, and I've been around for a while, so I know there are people who have this bill that's a little too big for their pockets, and they really don't want to be on well water. They want to come back to the corporation. Is that possible? Do you invite them to come in?
Absolutely.
Would you work with them?
Absolutely, 100%. In fact, to the point that I made earlier, those customers that we did the private well, the free well testing for, as we speak, we have a department, a revenue enhancement department that has been it has begun the process of engaging those customers. We started, at least a year ago, we started to systematically call customers and to find out from them, let us know what your challenge is. Help us to know what has really gone down. Because typically there's a story. Because to the point that Tamara mentioned, I would challenge anyone, quite frankly, that the water and sewage bill, the normal, regular bill, is less than any other bill that any customer has. By far, without any question. And as I already said, I regard WSC as the most essential of the essential services. So to the credit of the government, the cost of water is exceptionally low. It's actually less than the actual cost to provide it. And so that's a different issue. But the point is that we invite any customer that has any challenge, because it would be pointless to us if persons are out there that have a need and have a desire to return, and we're not willing to work with them. And so we are absolutely willing to work with them, within reason. The same is true that GM Deal mentioned when it comes to customers with leaks. We have a leak rebate program. We understand that sometimes, not to the fault of the customer, things happen. And so we offer a discounted bill to the customer once they demonstrate that they've brought their utility, their services, their plumbing back in line, and the leak has been resolved. Then we certainly discount that bill, and we work with them even with a payment plan to make sure that they can receive service. As GM Deal mentioned, our desire is to provide service, not to deny service to anybody.
Well, that's really good. I'm sitting here across from Mr. GM Robert Deal, and Tamara, I see him blush when he's saying water. On the island, they said fresh water. And it's so amazing that he still has the passion to serve.
Yeah. He gave me a whole new outlook in terms of how important water is, in terms of the health issues. It's like we know these things, but to hear it and see it with the excitement of your eyes, you realize how important your job is and the job of water and sewage. Like you just don't think about it to know how to value it and appreciate that we have gentlemen of your characters that are pushing and striving to make sure that the homes in the Bahama land have water, and not just water, good, running, healthy water.
Amen.
Tamara, and he's at the top, and he's still showing the passion. Oh, my God, that just does me well.
No, you have to have it. You have to have it, Every day customers call, they WhatsApp or whatever, and I get up from my desk and I go walk to the particular department that's involved and try to get it resolved, because it really does you well when you get feedback from a customer thanking you or saying that, they were pleased with the service. Someone called, someone visited, someone responded, and the issue that they had has now been resolved. Because I realize for our customers, as Mr. Miller mentioned earlier, it could be a challenge, particularly sometimes people come home in the evening, 6, 7 o'clock, and the water's disconnected, and they pay online, and they want to know, they're begging, can they get their water reconnected? And it's always a good feeling when, when you follow your WhatsApps and they say, you know what, 8 o'clock, 8:30, someone came and someone turned the water on. Because
that's
you realize
amazing.
When you have young kids, you know what it is to get home with your young kids after a hard day of work, and you probably just come from the food store and you get the grocery, and now the children want to shower and bathe, you may have to wash their uniform for tomorrow, and you don't have any water. They got to wake up the next day and bathe as well to go to school. And so we realize that, this water supply is critical to our residents and our customers.
And Mr. Deal, I heard you said that you have staff that does the calling to people. They try to do it before their water is turned off. So I want to say to the Bahamian people, call into Water and Sewage. Go and update your account, because sometimes there's no number to reach you. So please do that at some point in time. Where can they go? What's the location?
They can come into any of our offices, our head office on University Drive or the mall at Marathon. They can call in at any of our numbers that are listed, as well as they can visit our website. Their email address is there. They can go online. But you're right. If you can get your email address and your phone contact, that's critical to us.
Okay, we have a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Yes. Good night. Sorry. Yes. I'm calling just to congratulate you, ladies. You're having a beautiful show as usual. Each night you're getting better and better, and a great show. For water and sewage, my question is thus. You said you're installing new meters. Would my plumber be able to access that meter, when I have a leak or something and he needs to turn that water off?
Yes, and generally, we would always recommend that you should install a meter just beyond on your side of the meter, a valve. You should install a valve on your side of the meter so that if there's any issue within your home, your plumber can just go to that valve, turn it off, and then make the repairs, and then turn the valve back on. And so that's always a recommendation on our part, and most customers have that.
That's what we do. So, question. I know persons who has had an extra phenomenal bill sent to them, and you're saying that it is their fault that the meter was leaking and it read. According to y'all, it read such a high bill. Like I know a person whose bill was sent to them $10,000. How was that allowed between you and them that y'all sat and the bill rose to such a high level without anybody noticing? For you to have a $10,000 bill, I feel, in the home. The person, the meter was really on their side, but was on your side, and you all said. And I should see a whole swimming pool of water if that was taking that much for $10,000 worth of water.
Well, any customer who has a bill in that order of magnitude, we would encourage them, ma'am, to please visit us, give us a call, submit the information, and let us investigate the matter. But yes, and as we indicated earlier, that's one of the reasons why we are proceeding with the smart meters that are going to give us a leak alarm to advise the customers that you have an internal leak, and also to move to monthly billing, so that you'll get your bill much faster and you'll be much more aware. But we also encourage our customers to be alert as to what is happening. Sometimes, you may have more than one bedroom at home and your kid's toilet may be leaking. Encourage your kids that if they hear the water running after they flush the toilet for any excess period, please notify you as the parent so you can have it checked and fixed, because toilets waste a lot of water in homes, and you'd be surprised to know how much water could be lost by a toilet, particularly a toilet leaking over an extended period of time.
Thank you so much for calling in, Ms. Hunter. We have another Zoom caller. Ms. Smith, can you hear us?
Hi, good night.
Good night, good night.
I'd like to say excellent show and welcome to 2025. I have a question. I would like to know, I kind of joined in a few minutes late, but I did catch that there is a digital system that is being introduced, and I'm calling in from the Family Island. I'd like to know, what is the plan for the Family Islands? How soon can we on the Family Island expect to receive the digital system? And pretty much the monthly payments, when do you plan to introduce that for the Family Island?
All right. Well, good evening, Ms. Smith. Thank you so much for your call. The meter installation in the Family Islands, those are being rolled out exactly the same time as we're doing in New Providence. So if you happen to be a new customer, or if you had a faulty meter, what you will see is that those meters are being replaced and they're introduced. I'm not sure exactly which island you're on. Andros? Yeah, so Andros, Exuma, Eleuthera, all of those islands are benefiting because we are very sensitive. WSC is quite sensitive to the fact, and our staff remind us frequently that we tend to be very Nassau-centric a lot of times. But we operate throughout the length and breadth of the archipelago, and so this project that we're doing relates to the entire Bahamas and all of those islands. The full change-out, as I indicated, is going to be over a period of time, but we have targeted for New Providence and for the Family Islands as well. We are seeking, if all goes well, to initiate monthly billing commencing in April. We're hoping to be able to preserve that schedule. We're working assiduously now to bring all of those things to bear, but we anticipate sometime for sure during the course of this year, 2025, for New Providence and the Family Islands, those bills are going to be rendered on a monthly basis.
Question regarding the digital rollout. Is there some sort of rental fee towards this system that you're implementing? Would we have to pay for something new? Would it reflect in our bill?
Yeah, so we touched on that. The fees remain exactly. There's no implication to the customer with respect to the change out of the meter. This whole process is a cost capital cost that's being borne by the corporation. We know that the Family Island rental fees are substantially less, but for a New Providence customer, for instance, we know that you pay a $36 fee, which is really not just rental, because you get 3,000 gallons of water with that minimum charge, which is essentially $12 per month, and 1,000 gallons for every month. And similarly for the Family Islands, it's significantly less than that actually. And so those fees for the time, they remain exactly as they are.
Okay.
Thank you so much for calling, Ms. Smith from Andros. We look forward to hearing your voice all the time. And to all of you listening to Table of Change in Andros, we thank you so much for your support. One of the questions that was sent via Zoom, I just want to make sure I understand the question, guys. So please help me out, gentlemen. He's saying that in some areas there is still no access to water supplies. Can you help me in terms of what areas would that be in Nassau, and how are you addressing that matter?
Well, we still have some pockets of New Providence that may not have piped water supply. A few, but a few. But we have identified those, and of course, we have few pockets in the Family Islands as well. We have an upcoming project that's going to be announced early in February of substantial funding project, and part of that is to extend water infrastructure both here in New Providence and in the Family Islands, because as we speak with respect to private wells, we know that one of the things persons always ask, well, what if I don't have pipe water? Are you speaking about the issues regarding a private well, but I have no other alternative? And so the idea is to ensure that every Bahamian, wherever they are, has access to piped water supply. That's one of the United Nations developmental goals, and the Bahamas has signed on to that. And that's something I think the successive governments have committed to. And of course, the corporation has been empowered to champion that and ensure that that happens, that every Bahamian, no matter where they are, have access to piped potable water supply.
Excellent. Jackie, you were talking earlier about updating numbers or something like that.
Yes, we were encouraging the public to please call in. Use any of the water and sewage number. Just call and ask for customer service rep and just let them know, I would like to update the phone numbers on my account so that if my water is going to be turned off and I'm at work, you will call me. And Mr. Deal said his staff is on top of that. They are calling the customers. So any problems, just call Mr. Montgomery or Mr. Deal if you didn't get a call and you update your numbers.
302-5599 is our
Definitely.
call center. And you can call that number, and you will be greeted by a very friendly customer service rep, and we would be pleased to receive, we really appreciate that actually, to receive the information, because WSC converted as a part of our efficiency move. We went paperless several years ago, so we no longer render a hard copy bill. I mean, and the post office has had its own, various challenges over time. So we issue those bills electronically. We issue disconnection notifications similarly, because we want to make sure the customer is being updated in real time. And so we do encourage all of the customers, if you've changed your email address, you've changed your mobile number, to please call us and update. And we are actively, right now, going through a process where our customer service department has been calling and reaching out to customers to make sure that we get current information, similar to what the banks and other institutions do.
Okay.
And that is critical, because a lot of us, we may have signed up for an account a few years ago, and when we signed up at that time, we gave them the, perhaps our work email address, and we've changed jobs. Perhaps at that time you had a Yahoo account, or you had a Hotmail account, or Gmail, Coral Wave, or whatever, and you no longer use it. So please call in, email us, and assist us with providing you updated details, because a lot of times when a customer gets disconnected, one of the first things you hear from them is that they didn't receive a bill. And then we ask, well, what you have in our system for us to render the bill, and you realize that the email address that they have provided or we have on record is an old email address. And so if we have your updated email address, it'll ensure that you get the bill on a timely basis. And of course, if we have your cell phone contacts, because increasingly, messages may be sent via SMS or text message. And so, again, if we have those details, we can contact you and readily keep you up to date as to what's happening.
I know we touched on it earlier in terms of digital meters and being read by human beings, but we have someone on Zoom, and she wanted to be clear. Will this digital meters eliminate the reading of human meter readings?
Over the course of time. In the initial rollout, because we have done it in an incremental way, we will continue to engage meter readers to do the manual readings. Then we will make the transition to what we call a drive-by system, which is already deployed with other utilities here, even throughout the Bahamas. And so we will just simply, there'll be just someone driving past your property. They won't come out of the car. They won't come into your yard and anything. And then ultimately, what we will be moving to is a fixed network where the readings that the meter is producing will be coming back to the back end of the corporation in virtually real time. Every 14 seconds, the meter emits its signal, and it lets you know what the reading is that particular time, which is the ultimate configuration that we are seeking over time, because then that will, in real time, allow us to notify customers of anything that's going on that you'd be concerned with.
And I think one thing we want to highlight, too, because sometimes when this question comes up, people draw some inferences from it. it will not involve anyone losing their job. So we want to make sure that's clear.
Right.
Staff who currently read meters will continue to read meters in some form or fashion, or they will also now take on other duties, but no one will lose their job because of this. Also, this is going to play a major role. We talked earlier about the customer safety, but also the staff safety, because persons don't realize that the gentlemen and, in some cases, ladies who assist with the meter readings, they have to go meter by meter by meter reading them. And these meters are all in the ground. So to read the meter, and the reading is quite small. So you have to bend. Many times the meters are covered in dirt. You have to move the dirt. It could be covered in water. Sometimes there are centipedes. There could be wasps. In some persons' yards, there are dogs. You have persons who go in the yard to read the meter, and they didn't realize the homeowner left the dog loose, and so they got to run over the yard. All sorts of challenges. So you can imagine reading hundreds of meters every day, and each single meter you read, you have to bend down to read and look closely and get the reading exactly. And so it's going to also improve the health and safety of our meter readers as well.
Now, here at Table of Change, we talk about customer service. And I have in this room almost, 50 years of management at this table. So, without calling any names, but give us an idea of a circumstance where you can say that WS took on customer service in terms of an employee and ensured that the customer received the service that they should. Or if it was an example of maybe you had to wrap around the staff, or you had to take responsibility of a wrong that was done to a customer to show how you are in support of customer service.
I think that's an everyday duty that we carry out. We have excellent staff at the corporation up and down the length and breadth of the Bahamas. We have staff working all the way in the far north of Grand Key, all the way down to the deep south of Inagua, and day in and day out, they get up and they come to work and ensure that the job is done. Because unlike, there are few services in the Bahamas other than BPL and perhaps the police force who can say they have representatives on almost every island in this nation. And not only that we provide a 24/7 service. So this is not a service that operates Monday to Friday. This is not a service that ends at 5 o'clock on Friday and doesn't resume until Monday. This is a service that's being provided 24/7. So even as we sit here in New Providence tonight speaking, water is being pumped in Auckland, Crooked Island, Inagua, Meguana, Ragged Island, parts of Cat Island, Exuma, and coming straight up the chain, all Exuma Keys. And people would be surprised to know even the small islands off of islands. We have islands like Long Key off of Crooked Island, where the last update they got, there may be 2 or 3 people left there, and somebody asked, yes, even on an island where 3 people are, we're providing piped water supply.
So what you're trying to say, because on Current Island, Lucha, where I'm from, I know there's only 10 people left,
know.
and I know.
No, I was in Current Island in late August. Me and the chairman, we went across to check out our system on Current Island, and that's a critical system for us too, because even in some of the challenges we talk about in Lucha, sometimes we focus on the major systems, whether it's Harbor Island and Spanish Wells and North Eleuthera and Central and the South. But no, Current Island is critical to us too. And so, we caught a boat over there. And how the challenges of getting across the Current Island and getting back. But we have a small desalination plant right by where the school was near the dock, and there was a gentleman, Mr. Monroe. He took us across by boat. A very beautiful ride.
I know that's what you're talking about.
Okay,
don't say that's my people.
Of course, his son works for us as well, and his daughter-in-law.
Yes.
They're good people.
Eleuthera people, what you think?
Well, I grew up in Eleuthera. I'm from Green Castle.
Oh, that's why you're a good man. I got it. But okay, Mr. Deal. You've been working now with this corporation, and I'm sure you hear, when you hear the story, you be like, that ain't true. When they talk about WSC, what is one thing that is a misconception that you just would like to say, man, that ain't true? That question goes out to both of you, Montgomery and Robert. What is something like say, that ain't true, and that ain't fair, y'all? Don't say that about this corporation.
Well, while Mr. Miller thinks, like I said, I'll always stand up for our employees. Our employees are, by and large, very hard workers, extremely dedicated, extremely committed, and they are trying their best with the resources they have available. But of course, one of the challenges we do have in this country, I don't think we talk about it enough, is we are archipelago. And being an archipelago, as I mentioned earlier, we have varying size islands. And one of the challenges the government and all service providers face is that all of our consumers, no matter where they are, they want world-class services. But that takes a lot of work and a lot of resources to provide the same level of service. If we fly from here to Orlando, that service that you get in the hotel in Orlando, to get that in, parts of Auckland, Crooked Island, like I said, Megwater. But we realize our Bahamians deserve that, and we're trying our best to provide it. And so we ask our customers, wherever they are, to please work with our staff, be respectful, be helpful, and generally that works well, and we want to applaud our staff, and we want to thank them whenever we have a chance, because they're really doing their best, and many of them sacrifice and go well above and beyond to get the job done.
And with that, we have a Miss Smith from Andra. She said, I'd like to express and commend the WSC team at the Fresh Creek office. Miss Sweeting, Miss Roll, and Mr. Marshall,
Amen.
The most reliable servicemen and newly retired serviceman Lyndon Wims.
Oh, yes.
They go above and beyond. We'd like to hear that. Thank you so much for that message. Montgomery, what were you going to say to that?
Well, I just have to pick up right where GMD left off. I completely concur that we have really outstanding staff. When you work for public corporations and so on, there's always that knock that people are not efficient, they're not optimized. But I can tell you, if there were a leak that took place right now in New Providence, there would be any number of workers that would come out of their beds, and they will be on the job. And this has happened over the course of time. Last year, we pray that we don't have any major challenges, but these are responsive, responsible, capable men and women that get onto the job. You mentioned the whole issue, for instance, of when water is disconnected. One of the things that we did was in response to the challenge that people work until after 5 o'clock. We used to be, the cashier now works until 6 in the evening, and if the bill is paid, the water is going to be reconnected the same day, as an example. And so those are some of the things that we have done to pivot to make sure that we're responding and recognizing the circumstances of our customers and making sure that we respond appropriately to meet their needs.
Now, there's always people that come to the meeting late. So I'm sure there's someone that came to the meeting late and hear us talking. But I just want to make sure that they have the key points in terms of what you are doing here tonight. Give us an idea of what exactly that you want the Bahamian people to hear what you're doing here tonight.
So WSC is making a technology transition. We are keeping up with the changing times. We are moving from an old analog device, as I said, using the inference of the cell phone, the bubbler, and we're upgrading to a smart metering device. And we've indicated a number of advantages to that device. The fact that it's highly accurate, that it provides additional information to the customer, and that without any question, this is something that basically works us towards a smart cities and greater water conservation over time, because we are concerned, we're interested in customers having value for money, not wasting it. And at the same time, the corporation also, as a national water utility, wants to make sure that we are very, very efficient in providing that water to only when and where it's needed, and not for it to be wasted.
Excellent. I just want to remind our listening audience out there the numbers to call if they have issues with WSC. The numbers you said to call again?
302-5599. That is our call center.
And I also want to say to the public again, listen, we have to watch our toilets for leaks because it gets expensive.
Oh, yes.
If you see a leak wherever, just call the number so we can come and water and sewage will come and cut it off. When I heard about the monthly billing, I didn't take it well. So I'm sure there's someone sitting there saying, monthly billing, I have school fees to pay. I can't do that. But when I heard of the benefits, when it was told to me that you can detect your leak so you'll be saving, then I was all sold on it. So Bahamas, let's not get mad about it. Let's just know that it's better for us and it's better for the corporation. So let's do this together.
Amen. Amen.
We just want to applaud you for, I don't want to say having the courage, but it is courage to come out here and be on live, and you don't know what the questions are going to be.
Our pleasure.
So, Robert Deal, Montgomery Miller, I applaud you.
Yeah.
You know, your backs are strong. But you made me a believer. I believe, Jackie. I believe.
Well, it's our pleasure, our absolute pleasure to be here, and our absolute pleasure to speak to our customers. You know,
Yes.
that's what we're all about. That's what we're here for.
I learned a lot tonight. I learned that no longer do we have to say Water and Sewage Corporation. We get to say WSC.
Yes.
It sounds so digital. It sounds like we moved from a bubbler. So we have WSC here tonight with Robert Deal and Montgomery Miller that had the courage to come in. And another thing that I learned is the fact that, you know, WSC is here to make sure that every Bahamian have access to water.
Amen.
And I
Safe,
feel that.
potable water.
Yes.
Safe
Potable water.
I wasn't sure I could have pronounced that. I stumbled on that one.
You
The
did
tongue
an
got a little
excellent
tied
job.
with that one, but that's what I wanted
did an
to say.
excellent job.
Thank you so much for callers for calling into Table of Change. It's been a wonderful night. It's been an informative night. You know, we just don't have the issue. We brought the issue to the table, and I think we kind of solved it tonight. I feel good. We're moving in the right direction with WSC. My name tonight is Tamara Fox-Smith.
I'm Jacqueline Fernanda Moxie.
Robert Deal.
Montgomery Miller.
It's a pleasure. Next week.
Table of Change.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.